Welcome to the Mayor Show. As always, I say we have special guests. Today is no exception. We have a gentleman with us today. We call him Captain John Apeldorn, but I know him for many years as Apples, and I'm sure a lot of people call him Apples, but today he's captain to us, and we have a lot of things to talk about. The biggest thing is going to be the Citizens Crime Commission, which John has been with for many, many, many years. And what I'd like to do is start out by, John, you giving us a little bit of background of your police work.
Oh yeah, 32 years, Philadelphia Police Department. I started out in the 14th District. It was Germantown, and the reason I bring that up is because I had an opportunity when I was there to go to Temple, and the city paid for everything, and the veterans, and so I took advantage of it. And one of the first courses I took was homicide investigation. Now that doesn't sound like anything unusual, but as my career developed and I wound up at the homicide division, I thought it was a little unusual. It was almost like you're programmed to do something. So I went through the ranks right up to captain. I had a lot of various commands. At one time I had the subway, I had a ground district, and I had the airport I was covering. So I had the ground, and the land, and the sea, or whatever you want to call it. So I had everything.
Well, and certainly your reputation precedes you.
I appreciate it.
Well, it's true, and that's why you're on the show today. We got a lot to talk about.
I figured out, Mr. Mayor, you're not going to...
And I know the crime commissions is such a big thing with you.
Right.
And I go back, I met you in 1997.
That is correct.
That's how far back we go together. And there's a lot of things connected to this. A lot of people know, I'm sure you see the tip
line,
the phone call and all. Why don't you tell us about how they can help us and what the crime commission
does? That tip line was designed primarily, we wanted to open up like a line of communications between the community and the police, because you got that gray area in the middle. A lot of people don't want to call the police department. They think they're going to get involved in jobs, they're going to wind up going to court, and they're afraid of that. They're afraid of maybe some repercussions in their neighborhood. So we have this anonymous tip line, and normally a reward, attached to some of the jobs that we have. And we encourage people to call us, and we protect their anonymity. Now, when they call us, they just can't give us a name. We have trained operators. We want to get as much information as we can, because we may never hear from these people again.
Sure.
And then the second flip side of that is you have to have a rapport with the law enforcement in the area. So the city, we got a great rapport with, Bensalem, Del County, Bucks County, Del County. We can call investigators, and we call the investigator, just don't leave it with an operator, and give them the information that we have. And also, taking it a step further, if there's a reward attached and somebody's deserving of that reward, we'll coordinate that information with the investigators and ourselves, and we'll make a payout, many times in cash, because people don't want checks. They don't want no trail to them.
Well, I know our department works close with you.
Absolutely.
I mean, for the great work you do, and it coincides with the great department we have working together.
Fred Herron and your police department up here, one of the best, I'm telling you. We coordinate everything with them. They're always there. If we need something done, they need something done, it gets done.
Yeah.
So I got to compliment you, and you got one of the best PDs in the area.
They are, to me, they're the best, obviously.
Absolutely.
I work with them all the time, and I think they are the best, internationally now recognized.
That's it.
Which is wonderful. Having said all of those things, how do you keep this thing going? I mean, I know it can't be easy. Like, we come down every year. You have where you honor officers down the city, Bellevue, and how do you get this stuff funded? Is there something people can help out? Or?
Oh, absolutely. And we have companies that support us, a lot of individual contributions, and we have our fundraisers, which is the main source of our income. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, that happens in May, maybe the second, third week of May. We have like 500-600 people come to the Bellevue. We honor police officers from the entire area here, including Camden, New Jersey, I might add. And we present them with awards for their heroism, valor, and bravery for the prior year.
And I don't miss them, by the way.
You're always there. You and your police department.
It is incredible to be there, to see what these men and women are being awarded for. I mean, the valor that's involved here is incredible.
Oh, yeah. You know, the biggest kick I get out of that is when I stand up on the stage, and we have, Rick Williams, he does the presentation, does a fantastic job. I stand up on the stage, we present the officers, a male or female, whatever the case may be, with the award, and you just stand there and look at the officers, and you're just proud to give it to them, because you know what, they don't get much thanks otherwise.
The worst is the posthumous when it's really tough to go through. It's really when a family has lost a loved one, a police officer, and they actually, it's quite a ceremony and very touching, and I don't know how you get through all that. But
well, I have a great guy that works for me, Sandy Montecalvo, and he talks to a lot of the families, sets most of it up, does the work that's involved in it, and does a fantastic job. And we have these victims, they come in posting rewards, and most of them are homicides or nasty jobs, aggravated assaults, maybe a rape. And you talk to these people, the family, and it's all heart-wrenching stories, I'm telling you. And they're putting up their hard-earned money, just to get some closure so they get on with their life. And, it's a tough job. It's tough, I'm telling you.
I know that usually there's snapshots of the
all the time.
The show in May. They televise just people being there, and a lot of times, God forbid when that happens, we hope there's never that happen in words, but it happens. And if people see that, you get to appreciate what the heck is going on out there and what these police go through daily. As a mayor, I see it every day. When I was a businessman, maybe I didn't see it quite under the eyes that I can see it today, Captain, because you're doing your job, working, doing your business. When you get in and you become a leader and you deal with this every day and see what these men and women go through, there's a difference.
It's unbelievable.
And I can understand the public not seeing it in the same, because you don't see that.
You never realize it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they go out on patrol and you never know when the biggie's coming. You don't know if somebody's going to run out of a house, shoot at you. You just don't know. And it's one of those jobs where you really got to keep alert the entire time, and you just don't prevent everything. You see some of the tragedies that the people go through, and it's unbelievable. It's and a hard part about it is, as a police officer, all you see on the streets, all the violence, the crime, and everything, and you try not to take it home with you, because when I was the commander of homicide, I think I had like 1,500 murders during my 4 years there.
Oh my God!
Now some of them are touchy. Really heart-wrenching jobs, and my wife will tell you, I come home and, I acted normal, but a lot of times things bother you. Things bother you when you see what happens to people out there.
Yeah, I can imagine. It bothers me. I'm not the guy on the street. I worry about our men and women out there every day. You turn on the TV, someplace, somewhere,
well, what's the old media cliche? If it bleeds, it leads. Unfortunately, those nasty stories are always the top story to
end. Yeah, and, of course.
After a while, you get all this bad news all the time, and it kind of, maybe it affects you a little bit too.
I bet it does. People's minds.
And we got a lot of good people out there.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Sometimes the good people are forgotten.
Of course. Well, the accent is always on the negative, not the positive, because that's news.
That's news.
Yeah,
I agree.
Somebody
did good for somebody, you don't hear about it.
We take it for granted.
That's
absolutely, absolutely. How did the Crime Fighters television stuff get started?
Okay, that got it was about the mid '80s, and you're talking about the Crime Fighters series.
Yeah.
And Rob Jennings, he did a Crime Fighters series, and he used to actually come down to the homicide division. We'd do some walkarounds in the communities. We had, I think, a fellow that was shot in a trailer. He was a security guard. We went right down to the trailer, and I showed him, how the guy got in and how he was murdered and everything. And that just progressed on. And after I got out of homicide, I went to organized crime, and then the Crime Commission opened up. The fellow that was there, Smith, he had passed away. So they were looking for somebody, and one of the detectives comes in. He says, you ought to put in for that job. It's ideal for you. They got the Crime Fighter series, Tip Line, and all this. And the rest is history. I've been there for like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm dating myself now, But you know what? I kind of enjoy the job yet. When you bring that job in, you see the family, they're so relieved, we finally got clearance, and I still get a kick out of it if I didn't. And I'm sure you're the same way. I wouldn't be there.
Of course.
I wouldn't be there.
You have to like what you're doing and accomplishing something.
Oh,
That's
sure.
the bottom line.
And not only that, it keeps the girls happy at home. Your wife is always happy once I go to work. I got a great wife, really.
Well, they really make it work. So
they take care of us, Mr.
Yeah,
Rare. We were both talking about that previous, and
they make it work. They put up with a lot. I mean, really.
They do.
Raising families and doing everything they do,
and sometimes you come home in a bad mood. I mean, it's hard for you to.
John,
believe it.
you went back to and you bring up a good point with me again. A police officer out there all night with all of that going on, and to be able to come home and not carry that's got to be a difficult task.
Absolutely.
What you see out there and what's happening, and so their comfort has to come there also. So I'm sure it does. Well, I want to talk about something now. The VDOC. I know it's a society. It's actually from a French guy, right?
He was a detective back in France, and I don't know the dates anymore, but he was like one of the original detectives that did investigations over there. And he had a criminal background. He had been a criminal, and then he converted over, I guess he saw the light, whatever, and made a very good detective because he knew how the criminal mind worked. So it made him quite a detective back in the time, and they named this society after him.
Well, this society actually meets, and they actually take a case.
Absolutely.
An unsolved case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you correct me, because they take an unsolved case, and before I tell you, he's on that committee. He does this, and they try to solve that crime, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have.
They've solved crime, and what they do is they'll what they call adopt a case, and they'll see a case that's an unsolved case, and a murder, and they'll talk to the police department before they adopt the case, and they don't take the investigation over. What they do is they take a look at what's been done. They make recommendations on maybe how they could improve it, maybe an interview that should be redone, and they more or less guide what they would do. And it's comprised of all experts. You have pathologists in there, you got the ex-FBI people, a police department, you got homicide investigators, you have doctors, you got business people, so they got a tremendous nucleus to draw from all this, all the expertise is there. And they'll adopt a case, and only when the police department recommends it or they're agreeable to them coming in and taking a look at it. And no, I'm not a member, by the way, of that, but I've worked with them extensively.
Well, you're not a member, but I got something to say about that anyway in a minute. He's not a member. But just before preface what I was going to say, our director, Frank Friel, I'm sure many of you remember, was there and did solve cases with them for many years. Frank Friel has since passed, but on the years after he was here and while he was on here, he was on that committee.
Yes.
And to solve crimes. But anyway, the important thing,
give it to me.
They are honoring him. The VDOC Society this year is honoring Captain John Apeldorn, who I always call Apples.
I know. I was at that last meeting. He says, "Yo, Apples, how you doing?" And remember, it was the car show, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
had all your cars.
Apples. I know my Apple. But I would never disrespect because the work that he does and has done through the police department and everything, and continues to do. I mean, that's what he does.
And really, it's a heck of an award for me to receive Man of the Year, and I'm very proud of it. And I know that we know now, and your viewers too, what the society does and the members that make it up. So I'm really happy, proud, and so is my family. We really appreciate the award. And I just want to say this, that I got probably, if you want to total my crime fighting experience up, it's over 50 years, and this is really one of the nice achievements that I have.
Well,
as that man.
It is so deserving.
I appreciate that.
Captain, it's so deserving, and you're going to get it in Bensalem. You'll be in Bensalem.
Bensalem, I'm telling you.
He will be getting this award.
That's right. It's
down at Penryn.
That's right.
And hopefully I could see you there.
It's October
We are
1st.
so proud of you, honestly.
Well, listen, and it's the people that that work for me and then I work with that really deserve the award, because if we didn't have all that coordination, respect and things like that, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And it's just been a great run for me, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and we appreciate it here in Bensalem. Since 1997, I've known and worked with this gentleman, and we are very fortunate. And you deserve that so much. And I don't know, they might put you on a crime by yourself to figure it out from an old one. You never know.
Well, it's just that I'm quite busy now. I have my granddaughter Emily, and she keeps me busy. But I can always find time to do little things.
Do.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was at Homicide, I used to get calls at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when I was the captain down there. And I would jump out of bed and I was ready to go. Now, of course, today, many years later, I don't jump out of bed.
you just gently
but
get up.
I'm not telling you anything you haven't done either. You've been up early hours.
Oh, gosh, yeah, I'm up every day.
Really, it's been great. And
well, it's just an honor to know you and be working with you all
it's a
these
two-way
years.
street, and we go back a long way. We have a lot of the same mutual interests. You have a big car show, as a matter of fact, coming up here in Bensalem. You're going to probably take some of your cars up there, aren't you?
October 7th. I don't take too many of them here. I take, because we're working, it's what we call our Pride Day, our fall festival. So I'm out there talking to everybody.
I seen you last time. He was in a golf cart riding around, and it was up at the Parks
Casino, their first
and it was what, for veterans, was that?
Yep, it's for Bucks County.
And as a matter of fact, I didn't want to bring it up, Mr. Mayor, but since you're touching on a subject, I will. The golf cart broke down. You thought I didn't see that, right? And then he had a cadre of people pushing him, though. I said, is that true? It's absolutely true. Yeah. So that's what
tell. He's a detective.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say that's a trained investigator. He sees everything. You thought I forgot about that, right?
Anyway, I'm going to give you the last word.
The last word. Listen. Remember, if we want to live in a better society, then you got to start, supporting your police. You see something happen, make the call. Those calls are so important. You may not think they're important. Call the police, let them evaluate it, and you'd be surprised how many crimes more you're going to solve, and you're going to make it safer not only for your family, your neighbors, and everybody else. We got to group together. We can't let the criminals win. Remember that.
God bless you, Captain.
Mr. Mayor, it's always a
pleasure to have you. And hopefully no more golf carts right there.
Well, get a better battery or something.
Till next time, everybody. God bless.